Welcome, everybody, to the June episode of ISSA Canada's Coffee Talk Forum. In this episode, we're going to address one of the most frequently asked questions received by ISSA Canada. What education programs are available and where should I start? The fact that we are receiving these questions is encouraging because it tells me that our industry is looking for solutions to become more professional and distinguish themselves from the competition. But where do we start? ISSA, the Worldwide Cleaning Industry Association, offers multiple training programs and certifications geared towards all sectors of the industry. All of these offerings are in line with the association's goal of changing the way the world views cleaning. Joining us today is ISSA's Senior Director of Education, Training, Certification, and Standards, Brant Insero. With over 20 years of professional speaking, training, coaching, and mentoring expertise, Brant is not only an author, but also a volunteer coach for junior athletics and a volunteer mentor for sales programs at St. Rose College. Welcome, Brant.
Thanks for having me. Really honored to be here today and saying hello to all my friends up north. I see some familiar names on the screen. And before we get started, and I can talk for hours, so I apologize now, everybody. I would love to see your faces, and I can see Randy Burke's name on here, but I can't see his face. So I just want to encourage, if anybody's on here listening and you have a camera, turn it on. I want to make sure we're not putting you to sleep today. Oh, there he is. All right.
There we go. So as I mentioned, Brant, ISSA offers multiple training programs. There are the courses offered through the Cleaning Management Institute, Online Learning Center, and of course, SIMS, which we investigated in a previous episode of the Coffee Talk Forum. So given all these programs under all these umbrellas, sometimes people can suffer information overload and just can't determine a suitable place to start. So given that most of our inquiries come from the facility service provider end of the business, let's start there. Would it be fair to say that the CMI programs are an ideal place to start building a foundation of training?
And by the way, guys, this was not scripted. I don't have my answers written down. So this is going to be very authentic. And if anybody else has questions, feel free to drop them into the chat.
Yeah.
But, when we think about Cleaning Management Institute, folks, it's been around since 1964, roughly. It started in the state of Oregon in the prison system. It was a reentry program for incarcerated individuals, providing them hope for employment. We wanted them to come back and be tax-paying citizens, invest themselves into the community. And then over the next 20, 25 years or so, through Grandview Media Group and our previous company, CMI was able to start kind of flourishing in the higher education space, K-12, Class A office, contractors, and so on. And then it progressed really up until 2014 as an independent training and certification arm of CMM Magazine, which was based in the States. And as we fast forward now a little bit into the ISSA world, we became global overnight when we joined ISSA in 2014. It's trained and certified over 300,000 individuals worldwide, which is a remarkable number. But for those of you on this call, I want to give something away before I go deep in your question. So can we do a little Q&A and see if we can give a prize away?
There's no prize. What are you planning on giving us a prize?
Listen, I come to the table. I'm going to blow everybody else out of the water that you have scheduled for coffee talks because I like to give stuff away. Like I feel like Oprah or Ellen or something.
There you go.
So I want to say on the chat, if somebody can go into the chat and answer this question correctly, I will give away a free CMI certification course right now to those that are live attending. If you're watching the recording after this, you're out of luck. All right, so here's the question. Out of the entire world, what is the total percentage of individuals certified for cleaning? The total percentage. So I'm going to give you guys a second to click in the chat and take a guess. So you have 0 to 100%.
Okay, just wait. Jody just joined us. So can you repeat the question?
I can. Jody, you are late, but listen,
She's busy.
I get it. I get it. So here's the question. Around the world, I'm looking to find out from you if you know the answer to this. How many total people have been certified globally by a percentage? So people are putting in 3%, 1%. I'm looking for the percentage. Randy put in 3%, JP 3, Mr. Nasco at 2, 5.5. Jody, you come in late and you're giving me a 0.5% here. Jennifer Meek, I believe you and I know each other very well, and you had insider information on your answer because the answer is 5%.
Wow.
5%. So Jennifer, you and I will connect. We'll hook you up. Don't you worry. And the reason why I'm sharing that information with you is if you think about it, the massive amount of opportunity that we have to make a lasting impression and impact on our industry globally. So as we start to think about, CMI being the foundation of where we start, I was literally in a meeting last week, and a gentleman that I love dearly became a friend. I met at a CMI event, and it was his first training event with ISSA as a startup company. Now makes 15 million a year as a contract cleaner.
Wow.
So when somebody asks me, do I start with CMI? Yeah, absolutely. I want to be a millionaire, right? But it's the core competencies. It's the foundation of the technical skills that we need to know across the industry, whether you're in manufacturing, distribution, or a service provider. We need to have those core competencies.
Yeah. So when you talk about the CMI programming, where is the base point to start? Is it the basic advanced custodial technician, or is it the train the trainer?
So that's kind of it's like the chicken and the egg concept, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I say it that way is the CMI certified custodial technician course. It's the foundation for frontline cleaning professionals.
Mm-hmm.
But I do a lot of coaching with sales reps in distribution and manufacturing. And believe it or not, they come in and they really don't even know how to clean. So it makes it difficult for them to sell their products. So I truly believe it doesn't matter where you are in the industry, you start at the certified custodial technician program.
Okay.
It goes over the daily, the interim, and the restorative cleaning tasks. Once you go through that, we typically recommend, going into a supervisor level program, and there's multiple programs for supervisors and managers. But ultimately, Train the Trainer is designed for individuals that want to implement a certification program or a career pathway in their facility that provides them the ability to instruct the basic and advanced custodial technician course.
Okay. So as the name implies, for the custodial technician, it's geared toward the frontline staff. Why is it important for FSP business owners to consider this kind of training for their entire staff, not just their frontline staff?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's all about having standardization inside the organization. And it sounds silly. And Randy, being a consultant out the industry, we do a lot of consulting at ISSA. We see this where you'll walk in and talk to a manager that's zero experience in our industry. Maybe they've come from hospitality or the restaurant industry, and they're trying to manage their people, but they can't walk the walk with them. So I think it's a few things. One, it's being able to stand by the side of your team and have the same skill set and knowledge. Number two, it's the credentials. As you climb the ladder inside of an organization, whether you're the owner or a manager, I think it's imperative to have those designations and initials next to your name. It provides a different level of value and trust, of your organization. So we really encourage it.
So in terms of the train the trainer, those sessions, those workshops, they used to be held live. Then they went into the virtual space because of the COVID. But how does the custodial technician program get rolled out? Like, how do people complete it?
Yeah, great question. And I keep looking up because I'm thinking about all the ways in my brain that I've done this over the years. And um, there's a few ways. So let me talk about the good, better, best model. All right. So
Okay.
the good model is you're going to take an online course. It's self-paced. You take your time. It might take you 30 hours. If you're a slow reader, it might take you 35 hours. But that's the good way. The better way is when you have a trainer on staff or you hire an independent trainer to come in. Let's pretend you're a K through 12 large school district with numerous buildings. You could pay to have a trainer come in. And I like that model because it creates a consistent message across the board. You hear the same thing from the same trainer and everyone is getting the same message. The third way that I really enjoy is a blended style of delivery. And we allow the individuals that are going to take the course, the online access. And for some facilities that are in secure facilities, they may just buy the books and exams that are printed, which is fine as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to have them have the ability to study ahead of time. And then we come in the back door with our trainers and we get hands-on. Because as part of the process of the certified custodial technician course, it's not just about passing a written exam anymore. There's actually another layer that we call expert level. And that's where they're required to provide us performance-based assessments, where we're going to provide them the ability to run a conventional floor machine, a high-speed machine, or a carpet extractor. We may get into the weeds with the chemicals, and all of these things are performance-based that the trainers will basically view, make sure that the attendees understand what they're doing and they can show it back to us.
Yeah.
So that for me is my favorite way of doing it. And everyone that I've worked with over the years, when they try to roll this out by themselves without leveraging CMI or ISSA for support throughout the process, typically drop off. They start to fail a little bit. And then they'll call us up and we'll come in and try to rebuild that relationship with them and their attendees and their workers. But the reason why I mention that is I want everyone on the call that's listening to understand that you're not alone. Whether you partner with ISSA, a distributor, a manufacturer to help you with your training, you have support. And I just want everyone to realize that it's okay to ask for help.
So when you get certified, how long does that generally last?
Yeah, every single certification through the Cleaning Management Institute is a 2-year renewal cycle.
Okay.
At all levels, from the front line to supervisor, auditing, workloading, train the trainer. And there's a really critical reason for that. There's actually two. One, we all know there's a high turnover rate in the industry, so we recognize that and we appreciate that challenge. But the more important reason why we have a 2-year renewal cycle is that we're constantly updating the content to match the technology and the changing innovation inside of the industry. And we all know right now there are millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars, being invested into our industry, and technology is changing. So we constantly update our content.
So in terms of prerequisites, are there any with any of the programming? Like, do you have to take one before you move on to something else?
So we have suggested prerequisites. Okay. We don't really enforce it too much. However, I will say that it's very difficult to pass the CMI advanced curriculum before taking the basic level.
Okay.
So we typically, on average, let's just say there's 1,000 people, and this is a very low number, but say 1,000 people throughout the year take the basic. Roughly 500 of those will go through the advanced level, because that's where we start talking about concrete care, stripping and refinishing, and not everybody needs to know the restorative tasks. So you'll see a little bit of a drop off, and then again, about 50% go over to the supervisor management level courses.
Yeah. So is it fair to say then that the basic and the basic, advanced, and supervisory programs are like a package?
I would say, better than saying it's a package, I would say that it is a career pathway program. And
yeah.
A lot of organizations that do this well have seen very little employee turnover because of the pathway they put in place. Just to highlight it really quickly, I mentioned this in our Train the Trainer class, but a couple universities that we work with took the CMI Basic, the CMI Advanced, and they wrote it into their union agreement. And they basically state this: if you are hired by our organization, you have the first 6 months of employment to pass CMI Basic. When you pass that, you receive a raise and a title change. If you fail the course for any reason, we'll let you retake it one more time. But if you fail it the second time, you're no longer employed.
Oh.
And then if you go take the advanced class, you get another bump in pay and a raise. But the bare minimum is that basic level. Some other organizations will actually roll out deeper levels. So they'll say, like the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., they had everybody go through basic, go through the advanced, and then they had a series of individuals that internally they wanted to make their facility auditors. So they took our accredited auditing professional course as part of their career pathway.
Wow. So obviously training is an investment in a company's most prized asset, which you've just outlined here. So do you guys maintain any kind of statistics as to how training affects employee retention?
Yeah, so there's a lot of high level numbers that exist out there, and everybody kind of throws things around. We had one case study with a customer that we're actually training with this week again. They noticed for every dollar spent on training, they had a total of $11 in return. But that wasn't just turnover rates. That was everything from workers' comp claims, insurance premiums, the reduction of duplicated tasks, and the list goes on and on. But they quickly realized that there was a massive ROI to the training, and they've had us come back 4 or 5 times now.
Oh, wow. Really? Eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's making that much of an impact.
So where is the starting point then? Is it with the basic custodial technician? Is that what you would suggest, or is that dependent on the company, the industry sector?
There's a lot of factors that go into play. And one of the things that I've been recommending more and more, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but ISSA has our consulting division, and that's also part of the CMI branding. What I really like to do is just do a baseline audit. Like, let's take a look at what the challenges truly are. A lot of facilities fall back and say, you know what, training is our challenge. We don't have a good training program, and that's why everything else happens. When in reality, sometimes it's not that. It might be standardization of their processes, and it might not be the training of how to actually perform the work. There could be an issue with their chemicals or their tools that they're using. There's so many variables, but at least having that discovery call or that initial assessment is a great starting point. But if somebody is truly just set in their way and they call me up and they say, hey, Brant, we've got 100 employees. I want everyone to have the same opportunity for their education and certification in their career. Where do I start? Always start at the CMI basic level and just get everybody on the same playing field. And then take a look at who are going to be the ones that rise to the top. And then we start moving on to the next level with those individuals.
So you mentioned the certified workloading specialist and the accredited auditing professional. Can you tell us about these programs? Where do they fit into all of this?
So the accredited auditing professional, I'll start with that one first.
Oh, okay.
So that was a little brainchild of a partnership with the Smithsonian Institute. Like they said, we have a need. We do not want to have a consultant come in here and audit our facilities and tell us that our baby's ugly. Like, that's not what we want to hear. But we do have about a dozen individuals that are nearing retirement. They can't perform the typical duties, but we value them. And we want them to be our internal auditors. So we partnered with a consulting firm called Core America out of New York back in 2014. And the partnership really was all about developing how to perform a building audit, defining quality assurance and what it means for every organization, put the two things together for successful outcomes, And then we actually, when we're in person and it wasn't around the pandemic, we actually used to have a lot of fun. We would go out with ATP meters, black lights, white glove. I mean, we brought the tools out and we would walk a building and literally pull it apart. We would analyze that data during the class and start coming up with corrective action plans for what we found.
Well, it's actually really funny that you mentioned that, because at the 2019 ISSA Show Canada, we actually held a live accredited auditing professional course on the Tuesday during setup. And I remember all the participants in that class walking around the Metro Toronto Convention Center with all their tools in hand doing an audit.
Oh yeah, and sometimes it's pretty disgusting what you find.
Yeah, but we didn't want to find anything disgusting at that time. Definitely not.
I'll share this story. I can't tell you where we just did this, but we were in the middle of a project, and the ATP meter that we were using, 499 or below is deemed acceptable with that unit. Every unit is a little bit different. We swabbed a surface inside of their staff area, and the number was 154,996. I literally wanted to go to my hotel and shower immediately, but then I'm like, well, what's my hotel if I? So then my mind was just running, right?
Wow.
But yeah, so that's a little bit about the auditing course, and certified workloading specialist is something for us that was brand new about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And I don't have a copy of it in front of me, and shame on me, but ISSA launched the official Cleaning Times and Tasks book about 2 years ago. And it was the first time that it was really overhauled ever. The last time that issue came out was 2014. We recognized that there was some deficiencies in that handbook, and we decided to relaunch it.
Wow.
As part of the relaunch, we said the number one question that we get via email or phone call is, I don't know how to workload my facility, or I don't know how to bid on a job. And this course through our ISSA consulting division, they were already doing it. They just didn't have a certification component behind it and a testing element. So the certified workloading specialist is really based on that book, the Cleaning Times and Tasks book.
Okay.
And we walk through how to understand workloading a facility, whether it's team cleaning, it's zone, or it doesn't matter the system, but it's how do we get to the end result. When we teach that course in person, it generally takes about 8 or 9 hours. We've been teaching it virtually because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it over 4 sessions. There's a lot of homework assignments in there. But I can tell you that since we launched it, we've had a few hundred people go through the course, and they absolutely love it. And they're asking us, when are you going to have something more advanced, and what's the next level? And so the good news is we're creating it. We're trying to figure out what that next phase will be.
Perfect. So who attends that? The workloading specialist? Who is that geared towards? Like, is that a sales function? Who is it geared towards?
So I'm going to give you the cop-out answer on this one, because it's not really a cop-out, but it is. Anyone that is trying to support a facility service provider with their labor challenges needs to take the course. Number 2, it's the building service contractors that are trying to understand how to bid and estimate a facility. And number 3, the in-house service providers, they're struggling with labor right now, and they're also trying to justify additional labor as well. We get that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, hey, I just really want one more custodial technician. Do you think they'll approve it? Well, let's do the math, because the data will tell us the answers.
Wow. So speaking of updating programs, there's a lot of talk about diversity, inclusion, and equity, and just general soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
Have those ever been implemented into these programmings, or are they in the works to be implementing, just to create a different business, a culture?
Sure. So the one thing we put into CMI first was customer service. We recognized that younger professionals coming up into the industry, they don't know how to do anything but look at their cell phone. They don't know how to have a conversation. They don't know how to type an email correctly. So we started with some of the soft skills with that, and everybody loved that. But we leverage other areas of ISSA for things like DEI. The Hygia network is phenomenal. If you're not a part of Hygia, shame on all of you, by the way. Like, get involved in that program. It's awesome.
Since we do have a Canada region now.
So I love Hygia for that. We do have our online learning center, and a lot of times there's some, I don't want to call them resold courses, but they're courses that we license out that are very generic. They're not cleaning industry specific, and there's a lot of access there as well. But we continue to investigate and try to find quality courses that we can partner on. We want to be the expert in cleaning, not the experts in the soft skills. We'd rather partner with great organizations.
Yeah, sounds good. So the ISSA Sales Executive Certification, that one's relatively new.
Yeah. I actually have a cheat sheet on that, and thank you for bringing that up. That's my little cheat sheet in case you guys are wondering.
We had that at our show.
It is new, and this was actually really interesting. So we were at, if you don't know, ISSA has a lot of councils and committees, and one of our councils is the Manufacturer Rep Council. And during our meeting that we had with them recently, they were saying that a lot of distributors and manufacturers are challenged with their onboarding and sustainable training programs for sales professionals. What tends to happen is, and I don't want to make it sound bad because it's not bad, but a distributor sales rep would onboard, and all the manufacturers that partner with that distributor would come in and really have some great product training, but it wasn't specific to, the tactical, how do I actually clean? What's the process? What are the best practices? So as we talked to the council, we identified some areas that sales reps could leverage new knowledge to generate new business or retain business. Sales in our industry is shifting. More and more people are buying online. They're going through e-commerce. There's massive consolidation in distribution right now. And the sales reps that are out in the field need to be viewed as the leading expert in the cleaning industry. So ISSA put together this program that can be delivered online through self-paced courses. Some of these are delivered as in-person workshops. But you're going to notice there's a commonality here. The commonality is that a lot of it is based on what we already have, because that was the white space with the sales training. So one of the courses is the technical cleaning, right? And it's all about CMI basic and advanced. It's how do I actually clean? Because if I walk in and do a facility assessment as a sales rep, how do I know what I'm looking for? And then more importantly, as I'm watching people perform their work, how can I ever make a suggestion to make them better? So that's the first level. The second level is all about labor guidance. It's about addressing the challenge that we're seeing, which is that great resignation everyone is talking about. That's the certified workloading specialist. So that will help the sales reps address that need. Infectious disease, we're on the back end of this pandemic. Everybody by now probably knows the name GBAC, the Global Biorisk Advisory Council. Well, they have an infectious disease awareness course, which is built into this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it makes total sense, right?
Sure, it does.
The other ones at a high level is we talk about being a consultant in the field. And in order to do that, we need to be able to perform a building audit properly. And that's the accredited auditing professional course that will teach all about building audits and quality assurance. And then industry knowledge. A lot of young professionals, and we see it when we hire new people at the association as well, they really don't understand how cleaning organizations should run and operate. And for that, we literally leverage CIMS, the Cleaning Industry Management Standard, because it is the framework of how a contract cleaning company or an in-house service company needs to run their cleaning organization. And then finally, we cover some sales techniques, and it's all about hunting and closing and farming, negotiation skills. It's everything in between, and that's 100% online, self-paced. But each one of those little components has its own individual certification wrapped into it. So you're literally walking this path over the course of 1 year to get all of this completed. And it's up to the individual on how fast they want to move, but we allow 1 total year to get through the whole thing.
Wow. So it is one certification upon completion.
You'll get a certification for each component.
Oh, really? Okay.
Overarching certification when you complete everything.
Nice. Wow. That's pretty awesome, actually. Wow. Yeah. Have you actually had people participate in this already?
So
and how has it been received?
Yeah, it just launched.
Yeah, okay.
The way we're going to market is through our manufacturer rep council. So they're bringing it to the light of the distributor networks that they work with.
Wow.
We've had one person sign up through it so far. The feedback is very positive going through the course. But what's interesting is I already know these courses are great. We've had people go through all of these courses individually over the years. All we're doing now is bundling it and saying this is a new package.
Yeah, or I guess it's trying to offer something for all of the industry sectors, because I know for a while there was a great focus on our end users, our frontline teams, and the distributors and manufacturers didn't really have anything. So this kind of fills that void. Would you agree?
I have something that fills the void even better.
Oh, great. Tell us about it, Brant.
Mike Nosko on this call would appreciate that softball you just threw at me. So, but before I answer that, I just want to let Jody know that there was a question in the chat. If the handbook is available for purchase, absolutely. And we can connect you with the link after the webinar here today. ISSA launched a pilot program with a company called Hill and Marks. They're based in Amsterdam, New York, a little over a year ago. And the partnership with distribution is that they could leverage ISSA. We want the distributors to do what they do best, which is to sell the products that they're stocking in their warehouse and being the experts on their products. And on the backside, ISSA to be the experts on facility benchmarking, assessments, training, certifications. So we now partner with just distributor members of the association as a member benefit. There's no cost to this, that they can begin offering ISSA solutions on top of the products that they offer. We handle all the execution from an independent standpoint. We're 100% third party.
Oh, wow.
And the distributor has a different angle when they go into the facility. So we finally launched, after that pilot program, we officially launched it in February or March to the entire association distribution network.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So is anything new in terms like other new things coming out? More surprises?
Yes, there is. I'm not ready to release it yet, but I can tell you, I don't know. Is everybody on this call good at holding on to secrets? I don't know. Randy's smirking. I don't know about Randy. Yeah, I don't know, Randy. So I do have a secret. We do have a new product coming out, and it's geared towards labor efficiencies. And it's also geared towards helping our equipment manufacturers identify their cleaning times and validating their cleaning times, and also the same thing with our service providers. So we're going to be launching that hopefully here in the next 30 days.
Oh,
I'm really
nice.
excited about it. We beta tested it with a few organizations, and we know there's a need and a want. So we're excited about that. Some other new things that are exciting. We launched a ISSA Sustainability Council, and that was brought to us by our board of directors. They asked for it. We delivered it. We're in the startup phase, but as part of that council's responsibilities, it's to drive education. So the first panel discussion that we're going to have is going to be at the ISSA show North America, October 10th. I forget the time of day, but it's for the All Access Pass on Monday. And we're going to start diving into sustainability and ESG on that panel discussion. And we're also going to be releasing some new standards in partnership with the SASB standards, which are an international standards body for the financials for publicly traded companies. So we have become an alliance member with them, and we're going to start working closely together over the next couple of months. And some other new programs that are coming out. There's a lot. I acted like there wasn't. So CMI, which most of you have probably seen by now through the advertising, we're on version 7. We're very proud of this. It took 2 years to make this. We have the print books out, but our online version should be released in about 2 months. The basic book is done. We're waiting on the advanced. And then we're also going to be launching around the same time a digital version of the cleaning times and task book. So that'll all be coming out in the fall before the trade show.
Wow.
And I think that's all I can handle, honestly, right now. Like I've got a lot going on. So
Yeah, that's an awful lot. So Brant, you speak about the presentation of these workshops and these certifications, and we talked prior to this call about, everything used to be in person, then COVID came and we all went virtual. What is the next steps? Like, are you contemplating doing hybrid or taping live events? Like what are your thoughts on that?
I really struggle with this. And here's why. I think the newer, younger professionals coming into the market, they love digital learning. They love being online. They love it when it's self-paced and there's no instructor bothering them and giving them all these assignments. But in a world where it's vocational and when we get into the technical stuff, it's so hard to teach that online. You really need to either have a hybrid model or have the ability to take it in person. Mm-hmm. The most rewarding thing for me is watching somebody get it. Like they're taking the course, they're struggling, and all of a sudden the light switch comes on, they get it, and they leave with a smile. And then I see them in 2 years or 3 years at another course, and they say, "Hey, Brant, you remember that course we just took together in Nashville?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was an amazing class, wasn't it?" Like, because of that, I was promoted.
Wow.
Like when you hear that because of the in-person workshops, those are stories you can't tell when somebody takes a self-paced course online. So there's that component. The networking component of being in person is something that people take for granted. So there's pros and cons to both. I do think a lot of people are tired of webinars, and so if you are tired, thank you for being here today, by the way. But yeah, they're tired of online webinars and courses, and I'm willing to bet this year in Chicago at the ISSA show is going to be one of the most well attended because people are hungry to get back together and see each other.
Yeah, and we definitely experienced that this year at our own show that was held earlier on in this month. It was one of those, we were all worried that nobody was going to show up for it, but they came, and they came in numbers, and everybody was just so happy to see people again. And I agree with you there. There is that hunger just to see people and communicate. And it's different communication when you're actually looking at somebody in person. Like you and I, we're spanning thousands of miles today, you being in New York, me being in Ontario, but there's just something different when you're actually in person. So one more question regarding the online. We didn't really touch on that. The online learning platform. Yeah. What does that encompass? Does that encompass like all of the training programs that ISSA offers? Because I know there's a subscription that you can get, or you can just buy them one-offs, right?
So if it's a certification course, so the CMI Basic, the CMI Advanced, the GBAC, any of the online, SIMS Expert is online. You pay those by certification course.
Okay.
So if an organization's on here and you have 50 employees and you're saying to me, "Hey, Brant, we want all 50 to go through," we're gonna try to support you and help you through that because we know how everybody's struggling with finances right now. We'll work with people on quantities. The subscription model is for all of the stuff that we're delivering throughout the year. So it's basically a host location for webinars, past trade show sessions, but then there's also a plethora of safety courses that are related to whether it's OSHA safety courses or slips, trips, and falls, ladder safety, and it's both English and Spanish. So there's two methods there. I would say the most common thing people do, though, are they're buying certification courses rather than subscribing to a lot of content, because what happens is they get lost and they're overwhelmed on what to watch. So I always recommend dip your toe in the water with a class, get used to the platform, and as you start to identify the needs of content, reach out to us and just say, hey, do you guys have this? And whatever this is, we'll try to find it and figure it out. And if we don't have it, we're going to point you to some of our members that might have it for you.
Yeah. So in terms of your programming being American, US based, like does it translate equally into like Canada with regards to Canadian standards?
Yeah, I would say unless you're in Montreal, I'm sorry, I don't have it in your language, but
no, there's not actually. We do have the Sims program is in French. We do have that, and the CMI, we're actually working on that.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that because it's been a long time coming. So
no, absolutely. So how does that work with regards to the trainers? Who are your trainers?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I'll answer that first question on the content.
Yeah.
So a lot of the content will carry over, and I'm sure Jennifer can appreciate this because I know she was a good partner of ours for a long time on the CMI side. A lot of the content correlates over to Canada. Some of it will not when it comes to the specific discussions around government regulations, maybe that are US based. But the good news is, when we talk about safety in the GHS system, that does cross over. Another thing to think about too is on the cleaning times and tasks, everything is based on US measurements. So there's a little bit of a difference there. The trainers, though, I want to talk about two things. There's trainers, and then we also have assessors. And I know you talked about SIMS on a previous discussion, but we do have SIMS assessors that live in Canada. So they are a great resource. I would say off the top of my head, almost every trainer that I have is based in the United States, but they travel globally for us. So we have one trainer that's been all over the world numerous times. So we have access to them. And if we need to pull in people that have regional expertise or subject matter, we have the connections through our assessors and consultants that we partner with in Canada.
Oh, that's awesome. So what's next? Are you planning on setting up some live events in Canada again?
Oh, we were just talking about this before too, and I should have wrote down. So I literally have my calendar with things highlighted here on dates, but there's something missing. And I think instead of me dictating where we're going to be in Canada, I think people should put in the chat where they want us. So I would love to schedule a class in Canada. And I think I want it to be Train the Trainer. I really do. I think that you need it. We have not had Train the Trainer in a long time in Canada. And Jody, I will be there. If you promise to show me a good time, I will come out and train. I will. And Liz, I am flying into Vancouver in July, and I am super excited to be back out that way. It's beautiful. But again, it's up to you. You tell us where you want us to be, and we will make it happen.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor up. If anybody has any questions to ask Brant while we have the professional, the leader of ISSA education on hand, now would be an ideal time to ask questions. Party. Jody. Well, you know what? In Edmonton, Alberta, it would definitely be a party for sure. We had quite a few folks from Alberta visit us at the ISSA show this year. It was great. It was great.
Is that where I flew in? I apologize, I'm horrible with my geography. Is that where I flew in to go to Banff? Or was that was that Calgary? Where did I go to? What airport did I fly into for that?
It would have been Edmonton, I think.
Would it? Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I am horrible with geography. I was just curious because I was like, one of these looked familiar to me.
Would have been Calgary.
Calgary? Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for leaving me hanging for too long there.
Exactly. So with regards to the supply chain management program, we didn't even talk about that. And the Marquette, is it Marquette University?
Marquette University. Yeah. So that was actually a really cool relationship that we pulled together years ago. And the course was specifically created by two professors for ISSA. So you do receive a dual certificate from ISSA and the university.
Okay.
And it was about a year in the making. They were doing it after hours, weekends, school breaks. It's very well done.
Wow. So how can this one help business owners? Like, what's involved there?
I think that's really designed for anybody in a supply chain that might not have the experience. There's a lot of US based universities, and I don't know about Canada, but in the US, there's several out there that are basically you can minor in supply chain management. So if you think about it, Marquette has that option, and the professors just created it specific to the cleaning industry. So I would leverage this if you have anybody in operations or management level that's newer to the supply chain. I think it'd be a great fit.
Okay, no, that's great. So that pretty much brings us to the end. If there's no questions, I guess
this is too easy.
I know. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Oh, I do. Can I share a secret of what we just did last week?
Sure.
You know what we did last week in Los Angeles?
No.
Oh, you don't know?
No.
Oh.
Clearly the people you're talking to are good at keeping secrets.
So everyone on this call, you did not hear this from me. So please do not share this, but I'm really excited. So the last year, the board of directors recognized that our industry was been turned upside down numerous times, right? The pandemic hit and all of us, we were looked at as like the ones that you go to for information and answers. People were buying truckloads of disinfectants. There was new contract cleaning companies all over the place. And then it started to slow down. Everybody had a plethora of PPE, hand sanitizers, disinfectants, and all of these things. And we've noticed that things are continuing to shift, but what we don't want to do is lose momentum in our industry. So the ISSA board of directors unanimously voted yes to investing $5 million into a marketing campaign for the cleaning industry. So we've been working on it for a while. And last week in Los Angeles, we just filmed part of that ad campaign. And for everybody in Canada, if you don't know this name, I will be shocked. But we have a Canadian that is going to be our spokesman from America's Got Talent, Bobby's World's stand-up comedian, Howie Mandel. I am pumped. I got to meet him at the ISSA show North America a few years back. Hilarious man, kind, and we are so excited. But he and Dr. Gavin McGregor Skinner are point people on these videos. There's going to be a lot more information to come, but this is not about ISSA one bit. This is all about the cleaning industry and driving it forward with a brand new campaign. And we're going to have tools and resources for all of our members to take advantage of to leverage this campaign with your networks. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
And connected. Yeah.
It's the Rethink Clean campaign.
It is.
Yep. Yeah. That's very, very exciting. Randy, you had a question?
Yeah, just a quick comment. By the way, great presentation, Brant and Tanya. I got a ton of respect for what you do and how you do it. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty exciting about that Rethink Cleaning. Wow. But my question is, have you heard of a training program called Try Know-How? Really interesting, very different. And what it is, it's for low skilled workers, and essentially the cleaner would go to a restroom or whatever, and there's an RFID little button there. They would hold up their phone, and bingo, it would give them the actual right there, that one task. Really quick video, and they could go through their whole cleaning tasks. Anyways, I just wondered if you heard of that. It seems pretty interesting and usable.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a lot of organizations, Randy, right now that are out there doing that. Whether it's an
Mm.
barcode, RFID tag. The one thing I will say, Randy, and I'm glad you brought this up,
Mm.
and I'm not knocking anybody, but what tends to happen on this is that all of these individual companies start doing this, and all of the content is different. So as these professionals go from location to location to location, there's zero standardization again.
Yeah.
So I'm a big advocate of consistency and standardization across the board.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other question? Oh, Victor.
Okay, just a quick one, just feedback. So we have tried to get our staff to do, especially the basic and the advanced training. And the most discouraging thing was the 2-year renewal thing that they're like, no, I'm not gonna do that to last for 2 years. Could you maybe review that, just the basic one, the advanced one, so we can get people on board and get to learn what's out there. So just that, please. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Victor. Just to touch on that really quickly. So CMI back in the early days did not have expiration dates on their certifications. What we found is that when we were contacted by employers or future employers of individuals that claimed they were certified 5, 6, 7 years, but the performance didn't match what the curriculum was in the certification, there was a gap there. And that was one of the main reasons why we took that non-expiration date and created a 2-year, as well as the change in the content and technology. But just to shed a little color to that, Victor, that's one of the main reasons why we did that in the early days.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So when you look at those programs and the 2-year certification, do you update them accordingly to trends that are happening in the industry and add those to the program?
We do. We try so hard. It is honestly one of the hardest things that I do every couple of years. And not that I don't enjoy it, it's just hard work.
Well,
because we're
sure
bringing
it is.
in a community of people, and we're bringing in subject matter experts. For example, from version 6 to version 7 in the advanced book, we actually added a whole new chapter on advanced disinfection. And then we launched it right around the end of the pandemic. On the basic side, we worked with a subject matter expert to create a whole new chapter in the beginning of the book called The Built Environments. And it really goes in depth on teaching individuals that really don't even know the difference between a class A to a school system. I mean, it literally covers everything, all the different soil types. So we took a different approach, and every time we go through this curriculum, we look at it differently. We look at it from not only the perspective of the frontline cleaning professional and the learner, but how do we tie in the entire supply chain into this? Can we work with manufacturers for content and imagery? Can we work for distributors to be a voice so we know what's happening in the industry? All those types of things we look at, and then we bring in those subject matter experts and we start going through it.
Perfect. So Brant, in terms of follow-up, if people out there are interested in ISSA programming and specific educational questions that they might have, who do we direct them to? Where can they go?
So you have a partner in crime on this call who's been very quiet. I would encourage everybody to talk to Tracy. Tracy is great, and if she does not know the answer, she will call me at whatever hour of the day she'll call me. So I would start there. I would also go to our website. So if you're interested in CMI branded products, you can get there right off of ISSA.com. Start looking through all of our content and curriculum and options. And there'll be contact information right on there that people, they can fill out a form or reach out to our sales team. But I'm throwing Tracy under the bus. It's her all day long.
Wow,
Sorry,
I wouldn't say it's throwing her under the bus. It is the truth. So that's perfect. So does anybody, if there's no more questions, nobody has any more questions? Well, then that brings us to the end of this episode of the Coffee Talk Forum. Thank you, Brant, for your time today. Thank you for all our participants who took some time out of their day to join us. And I hope that you can join us again on July 20th for the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.